So, and I became fascinated, I guess, by this, the subject matter because when I got the idea that Henry Willson, as a gay agent in Hollywood in the 50s, was shaping Roy Fitzgerald, a gay actor, and repackaging him and teaching him how to be straight in a sort of Pygmalion, My Fair Lady sense. And I thought that was exciting because there were so many sort of cross currents about, hang on, Wilson's gay and he's making him straight, but Wilson's probably already shagged him as well. So there's all these kind of little nuances going on into the mix.
I'm sure they realised the jokes that were going on. I mean, in the Pillow Talk at one point, the character acts in a way to make Doris Day think he might be gay. And so you've got him saying, oh, these are delicious. I wonder what the recipe is. And, what's your job? Oh, and she's a designer. Oh, that's interesting, dealing with fabrics. And there's always what I do know, of course, all gay men are interested in recipes and fabrics. And then he takes up one of these little, like a canapé or something, and puts it in his mouth, and then sort of raises his little finger as he puts it. And I'm sure, actually, when they were filming it, they were all just pissing themselves, because they all knew what was going on. Now, of course, the audience at the time might not have known, and I think in a way we can only now think of that subsequently.
Bette and I wanted to really come up with a gay character who was evil and did dangerous things, because of course on stage that's really exciting. An audience, the devil always has the best lines.
Dangerous is fun to
dangerous
play.
is fun. Nobody in the end likes watching characters who are nice to each other. That's not the stuff of drama. Nice people being nice, ain't much fun. You can get that at home.
I mean, he's quite poisonous in many ways, and that in itself is exciting and dark. But with any villain, like, say, I don't know, Richard III or Iago, the actor must fall in love with this character. He must.
There is a life force. Any character in drama has got a terrific life force, a terrific drive and an energy. Is exciting to an audience. And equally, Bette's absolutely right. If you go in thinking I'm playing the baddie, you've already judged the character.
Yes.
And if you go on stage saying this audience is what I want you to think about them, or similarly as a writer, if you said this is what you should think about this character, well, you're taking away the point of being there. It was powerful in the sense that if you've got some of the top stars, and in Rock he had the world's biggest grossing movie star, the Tom Cruise of his day, then of course that affords you a certain amount of power. But in order to keep Rock, to keep the secrets away from the press, Wilson certainly did deals to trade off some of his lesser well-known clients and sold stories on them. So he wasn't above dirty deals in order to.
If he had to give them another story, he'd find one, because Rock was his main, if you like, his main source. And again, I think that's something that's still going on today and will probably always go on as long as the press exists. That's the way it works,
There was an awful lot more gay life in Hollywood than people knew at the time, or that probably we thought until about 10 years ago, when people started to do historical work to find out just how much was going on, and really how very widely known it was. I suppose it wasn't always approved, but everyone knew. And in that sense, Rock Hudson wasn't unusual in that sense, because he was, I'm sure everyone knew he was gay. And what's interesting, I suppose, is why did the press not do anything about it? And partly that must have been to do with negotiation, particularly with the more new kinds of salacious press like Confidential and so on. But also I think there was a kind of, there was an offset really between, because in a way the classic, first of all, on the whole, the studios controlled the imagery of their stars. We're still in the era where nearly everything that gets into the papers has really been controlled by the studios. So partly, that's one aspect of what's different from now. But also, I think there is a way in which journalists, they didn't really want to kill the goose that laid the golden egg. So, if they had started telling stories about Rock Hudson's sexuality, he would have been arrested, he would have been thrown in jail, he would not have had a career, and so on. Well, that's actually destroying someone to write about. So I think there's a way in which people left it alone, as long as, obviously as long as people were discreet and didn't do anything disgraceful, that people left it alone in order to kind of keep the star in circulation. It was in their interest as gossip columnists that the stars still existed.
One can't help but conclude it is a fact that there is no leading man who is gay in Hollywood, and fact, we certainly know there are some who are gay and openly gay in their private life. So it's odd. There is clearly fear there, in a big way, because these aren't people. The one I'm thinking of in particular isn't somebody who I say is remotely closeted in his private life at all. But there's fear. I think to an extent as well. I mean, I have some sympathy with it in the sense that one. I'm not agreeing with it because it's not the way I've lived my life, but the sympathy I have for it is that on one level, do you want to be regarded as being a gay artist, or do you just want to be regarded as being a very good artist, and your sexuality, as much as your class, as much as your race, as much as your background, was a part of who you were, but wasn't the defining trait? And I have every sympathy for people who don't want it to be the defining trait. And the great question is whether you come out early and get it out of the way and then everybody forgets it and then let you get on with the art, or whether if you come out, particularly, I think this is the difficulty in Hollywood. I think for certain actors whose reputation over 20 years is established as a straight man, to come out would be a globally incendiary news story, which may well upstage the rest of their career. There is no way around that.
It is limiting. I mean, I find it limiting to be out as a gay man in this business. There are certain parts that people wouldn't remotely think of me for, and that they're not just parts that are dependent on me having a sexual relationship with a woman in the movie or the play or whatever it might be. But it is limiting, and there are fags who are actors and very, very famous world-class movie stars who know that, and they will not come out. And it is limiting. There's no doubt about that.
So I think it's very important to remember that, yes, they were in the closet. Yes, it was dangerous. Yes, the general public didn't know. But that Hollywood actually was full of lesbians and gay men on both sides of the camera. And that, and they were sophisticated, and camp was a very widespread form of humour. So I think it was a very much... So I think what we're doing when we look back now is see the way in which that, gay culture, whatever you want to call it, is present in the films, albeit in a way that was not supposed to be noticed at the time.